G'day, g'day, g'day. Journey of the Water Horse, otherwise known as the hippopotamus. Let's have a look at the HM Memorial round, I think 6. Happy with the opening. Let's see how we go. My thoughts as we go through. Obviously, no Hikaru or even Ginger GM. Let's go. Okay, Queen's Pawn, setting up the Fianchetto, basically going through the standard first 4 moves. Could be a collie. Typically, the first 4 moves would include the knight to d7, but I thought the move order can be a little interchangeable, and I thought I'd just encourage the white bishop to not throw a check. Go, it's come back. Standard response immediately to the bishop on c4, explosive square, is e6. There we go. And white's finally claiming the centre. I'm effectively playing white now. He's moved his king's pawn twice to get it to there. That's nice. So we come in with h6, again controlling the white knight and the dark bishop. He's brought a bishop in front of his king. Standard move with our knight. He's moved another knight in there. We're still just playing our standard setup for the hippo. So we've made room to fianchetto our white bishop. A4 is interesting. Had to stop and think about it a little bit. I'm about 5 or 6 minutes up on time at this point. Almost automatic. A few little rules, but setting up the standard 10 moves to get your full thick-skinned hippo. And thinking about it, if he pushes his A pawn, I'll move to B5, which will gain me a tempo on the light bishop. That's fine. If he doesn't push it, very happy with how things are over there. So actually it's nothing to really worry about at all. So we fianchetto our bishop, nearly at our standard setup. White castles. We bring our knight in, and there it is, the full thick-skinned hippo. Often you don't castle immediately if you can leave them guessing which way you're going to castle. If they attack on the king side, you castle queen side and Vicky Verka. But this is the breather moment, as the chess giant puts it, where you need to look at all of your pawn breaks and think about what you're going to do to usually try and win one of those central pawns, unless white locks it up in the middle with a pawn forward and we do the Lego. If they do E, we do D. They do D, we do E, locking it in the middle. So what does white do? Questionable move, apparently, but there we have it. So we take a look. Right now, the B pawn moving forward would just be stupid. So that's not on. G pawn to G5 and the E knight on E7 to come in behind it is sort of half of a plan. You're one of the pawn breaks, but let's look for better. It's not in the chess giant's normal course about, in a lot of his YouTube videos, he talks about he doesn't like to play the G pawn push or the B pawn push unless it gains tempo on a bishop, typically, getting it to move back. So coming in, we're looking at the C pawn or the F pawn. Now his king is on the king side, keen to go the F pawn. However, he's got a light squared bishop gunning at our E pawn, so we can't just move our F pawn forward. That's not on. So what else can we do? If we still want to attack that E pawn, our knight on D7 to F6 will give us a piece tracking on it. At the moment, it's got 2 defenders, a queen, strangely enough, and a knight. We have a bishop, which we were always going to have. That's 1. If we move our knight, we've got 2. We would like to have 3. So Maybe it was the biggest little idea I had on the night and I thought I'd try it out. It's something that is mentioned as something that Chess Giant's been playing around with at times, is to try and get a battering ram by putting the queen on A8. So let's see how that travels. First, I castled. That gives me another piece on F5 if I do the F pawn push. Can't really push that F pawn while that light squared bishop's there. Nevertheless, king safety and another piece on that push. Starting to get a little bit scary over there on the queen side, but if he pushes his B pawn, I'll push my A pawn. If he pushes his A pawn, I'll push my B pawn. I think I can just continue with my plan. So, starting the plan, computer doesn't like Keith. Computer says question mark. Oh, well, we'll see if it works, he says knowingly. He's moved his bishop back. He might be thinking about moving his C pawn. Let's just continue with our plan. Queen comes across. Now we've got our battering ram. We've got queen, bishop, and soon to be knight, all aimed at that E pawn. Don't know how obvious it is to a player. If you think it might be more obvious to some other opponents, who knows? Anyway, we'll see what happens. Moved his rook in to protect the lineup with his bishop there. Right, now we've got our 3 pieces on that pawn. I am going to, let's take this down a little. It'd be interesting to see. Oh, this isn't going to tell us. Be interesting to hear you gentlemen, your thoughts. What would be the best move for white now? Because can he get a third piece protecting that E pawn? I'm not seeing it. If he could move, well, he can move his dark bishop, and that would bring his rook onto it, and then we'd have a different game. But he could only move that bishop to F4, and then I'd probably do my G pawn push, and then we'd be playing chase the bishop. That would have been interesting. But other than moving his bishop to get a discovered third protector of the E pawn, I don't think that works that well for him with me moving my pawns around there and even chasing that knight. In fact, if he goes bishop to F4, I'll go pawn forward. He has to move his bishop, obviously, to G3. Then his knight, my next move would be pushing to G4. Where's his knight going to go? Not too many players. Anyway, didn't go down that path. His other choice, I guess, would have, and I was half expecting him to push the E pawn at that point. And then maybe queen, knight to D5, threatening a bishop, trying to win the bishop, or knight to G4, again, harassing the dark bishop. So we had a few half ideas depending on what white plays here. This is why I'm sending you the video of this one like this, so your advice is valued. Tell me what you think of this situation, and even if, well, a computer gave it a star, it liked the plan, even after it hated me putting the queen there. Anyway, computers. Let's see, what does white play? Well, that gets rid of, stops me from moving my knight to G4 to harass that bishop. The computer preferred him moving the bishop to get the third protector. So in terms of the game, that should have been the mistake that eventually resulted in the result, but more on that later. So here we go. I had a hard think about for a while about should I take with the knight first or the bishop first. And in the end, I got what I sort of planned for, with mass destruction, but with me being a pawn up and with white having a doubled pawn as well. So let's see how that works. He takes with his knight. I take with my bishop. What's he going to do? Moves his queen because he doesn't want to lose his queen. And he's moved his queen. If he hadn't moved his queen to e2, which got a star, I was going to grab that knight and double his pawns. As it is, I'll grab the knight. Doesn't double the pawns yet. He takes with the queen instead of the pawn. Doesn't double the pawns. Bang. Doubles the pawns. So now if we look, it's actually quite the photograph right now. How do you lose from here? I've got all 8 pawns in the standard Hippo formation. White has got 7 pawns, not 8. Isolated pawn, isolated doubled pawns, and then his 4 pawns are facing 5, well, actually facing 8 pawns, however you want to look at that. Now, most of the pawns near my king are on light squares. I was thinking about that. You can tell me how much credence to put into the thoughts about what I did next. But I was thinking if I can kill his light bishop, his dark bishop's going to be next to useless. Probably shouldn't have thought that, as we'll see a little bit later on. So let's see how we go. I've moved the knight in there to hassle his dark bishop, strangely enough, but also the pawn on c3. So, strangely, he could have protected his c pawn and let me take that bishop to undouble his pawns. I might not have done that, actually, but he could have given me the chance to undouble his pawns. Computer doesn't like it. That would have liked me getting ready to push the c pawn. Eventually get that message in my own brain, but not as early as I should have. Anyway, not liking my knight being there, threatening his pawn and his bishop, he takes. Also doubles my pawn. I had a thought about how that's not the worst doubled pawn to have, and it's kind of okay because it'll undouble as I smash through with the 5 versus 4. He's moved his bishop there, which is, well, claiming the file. Computer doesn't like the king going there. I moved my king there to protect my h-pawn so I can move my bishop. Computer liked me just moving the g-pawn. My longer-term simple plan is actually to get as many pawns as possible on the light squares now that he doesn't have a light bishop. Anyway, we'll see how we go. King forward. And again, I was saying, talking about moving my bishop, going to get it across and hopefully it can help. He's doubling his rooks. I know he's doubling his rooks. I can't compete. I can't get a rook to e8 because no good. The computer preferred that rook move to be to c8, not d8, but I've protected the d pawn so I can go smashing forward with the c pawn soon. He's moved his bishop back, protecting his pawn chain as well. Computer didn't like it. Interesting. Well, I guess you'll see soon enough. He takes, I take, I've undoubled, I've now got 4 versus 3. Up plus 1.4, interesting. Now, it may have been wiser to take the d-pawn. But I went with, hopefully I can get 2 versus 1 with the A and B pawns versus an A pawn, that I could maybe get something through there. And yeah, a bit of a question mark that. Would have been better to protect the C pawn If he took it, I would have got a rook up and in. Learn that one for next time. But we're still up by basically +1. He's threatening the B pawn. I cannot move it forward. Not like that. Not now. He would have 2 pieces on it to my 1. Okay. If I move forward, it's 2 versus 2. As it is where the B pawn is, he can't take it either. It's a real arm wrestle here that happens now. He's up the ante. He's got 2 pieces on it. Bishop. Oh, that got great. I thought it was, well, I guess it was backwards, but 2v2 with where it is. Threatening my rook is great. Oh, let's keep protecting my pawn and move it onto a white square. Threatening another rook, but I was going to move it anyway. I wanted to be able to get 1 more piece, protecting my B pawn. So I moved across. He's moved it up. I can't take it at the moment. If I was to take his bishop, he would take my rook. No questions asked. Not really a good deal. And he had 3 pieces, 1, 2 rooks and a bishop, all threatening my B pawn. This great move of mine is having 1, 2 rooks and a bishop protecting my B pawn. And was up 2.3 at the moment. Definitely the Hippo as an opening has worked. And we're getting towards endgame stuff. About 22 minutes up on the clock at this point as well. Probably reason for that is I should be spending a lot more of it thinking about what I do now. Because I do some silly things. Anyway, let's go. King, he's activating his king. I maybe could have done something similar, but throwing the pawn forward to give I was half thinking about giving my king a pathway across to join in the fun with the bishop and the rooks and the pawn. In the end, there's actually no good square for the king to support and take the bishop. It doesn't quite work. Anyway, so we've played that. We're still up 2. For a long time, I've been thinking if we can get rid of a pair of rooks, then the fact that his pawns are on dark squares, I've got a dark bishop, my pawns are on light squares, that would be advantageous to me. And I think that thinking was correct. Computer likes it. But it's at this point in time, and computer didn't like it. I was kind of happy with that. Thinking pawn forward. Now it's 2v2. He can't get his bishop onto it. Light square. Can't. He's not really threatening my B pawn at all. And it's at this point in time, it's not what the computer's saying, but bishop to A5 is looking really good to try and get in and start munching his dark squared pawns with my dark squared bishop. This was the brain fade. Well done, Keith. But swapping off these bishops is just stupid. His bishop is useless, and I've been working on a light squares solution for ages. All my pawns light squares. His pawn's stuck on dark squares. Just want to really get across how dumb it was to try and swap these pieces off. Trying to get his king in. The hilarity. Straight to 0.0. Was on plus 1.7. It is just what happened. Don't know if we're 35, 36 moves in. Brain fade. Got to not do that. I was all sort of thinking about if he takes my bishop with his, I'll take his with my rook and it'll be check and I can get my rook back to keep protecting the B pawn. Yeah, I can force doing something which is bad for me. Dumb. Anyway, shouldn't have done that, and it's taken it to 0.0. Moves his king. Now, how I lose this game from here, up plus 0.4 even now, is can you see honestly how a white pawn is going to get in front of all the black pawns and white will have the strong pawn that queens? It would take an act of sheer idiocy. Oh, look, I got the double red question marks. And yes, that's truly it was. Had I been hassling his C pawn, his rook couldn't protect that and keep threatening my B pawn. I would have been the one in control. I would have been pushing pawns through. That's where the game was lost. As it is, bang, and from here the game pretty much lost. Did kick and scream for a bit, and really what I did wasn't... That's interesting. I wonder what they would have liked me to have done. But that was wrong. I should have gone pawn forward. I was just getting rid of one more. Right here. It's been a long, hard, arduous game. And computer says black plus 1.1. I have done the incorrect move. Needed to keep not having my head down, but thinking about and calculating. I was up. I had about 35 minutes left, and my opponent was on about 20. Should have had a big think, do the calculation. It's almost a chess puzzle. I put it to you guys now. What should black do next? Tell you right now, it's not move to c2. He'll take my rook with check. It's all bad news. If I took his rook, he would take back with his pawn. I would move my pawn to c2 then. Move order's important. He would queen, not check. I would queen with check. I was let back into the game. Damn it. Keep your head in the game even when you think you've thrown it away. Let's quickly see the wrong move. Oh, my second double question mark on a red circle. And from there, it's just all over bar the shouting. Resigned. So, any thoughts on the game? Greatly appreciated.